Hi, this is Matt, and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who loves bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is your Bluegrass Briefing for Monday, July 10th, 2023. Last week we had an interview with Tim Stafford, a really interesting chat there about Tim's new record, Guitar Melodies. It's always great talking to Tim. I really enjoy that, and do go back and check that one out if you missed it. That was a lot of fun. I've also been having some more conversations for the Clarence White episode that's due at some point in the next few weeks. I spoke to Michael Daves for it, which was just a brilliant chat. And I also spoke to Tim Stafford for that. And I'm speaking to Alan Mundy next week. And then there's one more guest who I'm trying to fit in time to talk, so I'm going to wait for it if I need to, because I really want to get them in there. And I'll let you know a bit more about that near the time. But that's all coming on really nicely, the Clarence White stuff. Wanted to say hello to Daniel Scroggins, who's the latest supporter of the podcast on Patreon. Thanks, Daniel. I really appreciate anybody supporting the podcast. I know money's tight at the moment, and podcasts are free. That's part of why we love them. But people who donate a little bit towards the upkeep really help this keep going, and so I do appreciate it. Every little bit is very, very much appreciated. So thank you, Daniel. And there's one little bit on the website. You may have noticed this, you may not, and it's not everywhere yet. But if you go and listen to any of the tunes on the podcast, if you're on a laptop, like a desktop computer, the play controls at the end has a little thing where you can speed up and slow down the tunes, but they stay in pitch. So you could go and take, for example, Whiskey Before Breakfast at 75 BPM and play it faster than that, but it will still stay in the key of D. Kind of a play around with it. I want to thank Chuck, who emails me now and again, who sort of said he'd had to play around with it, and it'd been really, really helpful. So it's only there on the desktop version of the site at the moment. It's not there on the mobile version. I'm trying to work out how to get it on there. I'm sort of a little bit making it up as I go along with all the web coding stuff. It's not my strong suit, but it's on the website. If you go on a laptop or desktop computer, you can speed up and slow down all of the tracks now, which might be really handy until we get to the point where I've done them all at loads of different tempos. So go and have a play with that, and I will try and get it on mobile as soon as I can. This week coming up is going to be Tune Week, and we are going to be playing Big Sandy River, new tune for the podcast, so keep an eye out for that. But that's it for Pod News. We're going to crack on with the main bit of the episode. And the next bit is Church Street News, and there's a couple of bits from IBMA this time. First, quite a fun thing. I got an email from them, I'm sure some of you did. They're having a mystery shirt sale. It's called the IBMA Summer Mystery Merch Sale, and from today until July the 14th, so just towards the end of this week, they're basically selling old festival shirts for £5 each, and British person, $5 each. And so you pay $5 and you specify a size, and they will send you a mystery IBMA festival shirt, and you don't know what you're going to get. I think that's quite a nice way to shift some of the stuff they've got left, but for people to get a cool shirt cheap. It could be fun. So go and check that out on the IBMA website. I will put a link in the show notes so you know where to go. But the second thing is the IBMA announcement that July 19th at 10 a.m. Central on SiriusXM Bluegrass Junction and on Facebook Live, they will be announcing the final nominees for the Bluegrass Music Awards this year, as well as the recipients of the Distinguished Achievement Awards and the Bluegrass Hall of Fame Class of 2023. It's hosted by Bluegrass Junction's Joey Black and Ned Luberecki, with IBMA Interim Executive Director Paul Schiminger. So, yes, check that out on the 19th. That's a date for the diaries. But that's it for news this week. So next up, we've got the new releases. The Grass is New, and a couple of things like I've been anticipating for a while, sort of looking forward to. The first one is Wyatt Ellis. I've been following Wyatt, as I'm sure a lot of you have, on social media for a year or two now, and just watching his progress and seeing some of the cool stuff he's up to, and knew he was working on some music, and there's a single out called Grassy Cove, which features Sierra Hull, produced by Justin Moses, and it's a great track. It's on the playlist. I've added it to the Grass is almost new, as it's been rechristened, because I put some old bits in there now. Playlist link in the show notes, go and listen. But yeah, Wyatt's track with Sierra, Grassy Cove, is on that, and I really enjoyed it. It sort of reminds me a little bit of some of the earlier Chris Thile tunes, like Our Spring, that are just like loads of energy to them, and just it's a fun tune. Go and check it out. There's some great playing on it, and if he's got more stuff like that coming, I'm very much looking forward to it. So nice one, well done, Wyatt. That's brilliant. And the other one, I went to a gig, I think over a year ago now. An English folk guitarist called Martin Simpson. I went to a gig in London at Cecil Sharp House, which is the home of sort of folk music in England, really. And he was talking during the gig about this record he's got. He said, I've been writing with a guy, and playing with a guy, and chatting to a guy called Tom Utes in Nashville. And I hadn't heard Tom's name by this point. This was, going back a year or so. I hadn't heard of Tom. And I went up to him at the end and I said, you talk about this project you've got. And they've got a collaborative album based on the songs Cecil Sharp collected, the English folk songs from Southern Appalachians, which was in the early part of the 20th century. Cecil Sharp went from the UK out to the Appalachians in 1916 and 1918 and sort of wandered around collecting English folk songs that had made it over there but were still being sung. And they've put together, Martin Simpson and Tom Utes, this record of those songs. And it's the two of them, but with lots of guests, including Sierra Hull, Tim Stafford, Tim O'Brien, Tammy Rogers, Seth Lakeman. It's out in September, the whole record, but the first single, which is Come All You Fair and Tender Ladies, featuring Cara Dillon, is out now. And there's a link to that in the playlist. I'm going to have a listen to it. And since sort of, I went and talked to Martin and said, like, when this record comes out, I'd like to chat to you about it. And it's out in September, so I'm going to set something up and talk to them both about this record, because I'm fascinated by it. Being English and listening to this music that has a lot of roots in the Appalachians, and hearing that sort of journey the music's been on, and then hearing that music come back, and I think that's really interesting. So looking forward to that. First track's out and it's great. Go and have a listen. And I will be chatting to them a bit later in the year about that record, but I think that's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to that one. So the Wyatt Ellis single and this track from Martin Simpson and Tom Utes with Cara Dillon. And since hearing Tom's name in that conversation, I sort of went away and Googled him. No, it sounds like an interesting character. And his name has come up so many times since he's written with so many people I have interviewed, and it's sort of his name crops up on a weekly basis now, and I wondered how I hadn't heard of him before. But that's just the way stuff goes in music. Stuff pops up on your radar from all sorts of places, and I'm glad it did. So looking forward to that record. And usually at this point we have a bit called Scroll On Buddy, where I sort of chat about something I've spotted on social media, and nothing's particularly reared its head this week. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm got anything particularly interesting to add. But in my ears this week, I sort of generally talk about what I've been listening to, and I've been listening to this Wyatt Ellis track. I'm really enjoying that. And I'm not going to put any of this in the playlist because I'm not convinced you would all want it, but I've been listening to quite a lot of Iron Maiden this week because I went to see them in London last night. I'm recording this on Sunday, and I went on Saturday night to see them at the O2. I've been into Iron Maiden since I was about 8 or 9, and saw them first like in the 80s when I was a kid. And they're just fun. They're a great fun live act. Brilliant, really enjoyed that. But I'm not going to stick any of that in the playlist because I don't think most of you would necessarily appreciate it, and it might sound a little bit jarring in between all the Mighty Poplar and Caitlin Canty and Tim O'Brien that's on there. But that is what I've been listening to. And that's it for this week. As I said, the Tim Stafford interview is on the podcast. Go grab that. Also, the Big Sandy River tracks this week. Go and play around with the speed controls on the website. Go and find a tune, slow it down, speed it up, find a sweet spot. And that's it. While you're on the website playing around with that, sign up for the mailing list so I can let you know all the new stuff that's coming out. But that's it. I will see you later in the week with some tunes, and again next week for some more of this. Have a great week and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collings Guitars and Mandolins, making some of the finest guitars and mandolins in the world since the 1970s. Visit collingsguitars.com and find out why.